the communication part is not exactly how I wish it to be when I'm dating someone Japanese, though a lot of my exes are Japanese.
You're playing on hard mode.
I know. And then like when I go out on dates, not with someone Japanese, you go on like 1 or 2 dates, you'll know all his lifestyle. The main difference for the US version, you have to go to the altar. You can't break off the engagement. But for Japan, you can. Because なんかね、日本語で言うと悪女に見えちゃう. Our show was the newest show after Terrace House on Netflix.
Today, we have another special guest. This is Priyanka. She is the 2016 Miss World Japan. Also, you were on Love is Blind in Japan, the Japanese version.
Yeah.
Definitely want to ask you questions about that.
Okay.
Can you give a quick self-introduction? English, Japanese, and do you speak a little Bengali?
I speak a bit of Bengali, but I get super shy about it. But I can try. My name is Priyanka Yoshikawa. I was born in Tokyo. My dad's Indian, my mom's Japanese. I was raised in the States, India, and Tokyo. Now based in Tokyo, but I do a lot of back and forth with India and Japan. My dad lives in India now.
日本語
日本語いいよ。
どっち
全然日本語いける。どうも、はじめまして、吉川プリアンカです。インドと日本のミックスで、お父さんがインド人でお母さんが日本人で、東京で生まれたんだけども、アメリカと、インドと日本で育ちました。今は東京に住んでます。
よろしくお願いします。Doesn't this feel like natural after you do a Japanese 自己紹介? It's like, よろしくお願いします。
そう。
Like, I feel like...
And the way I clap is so Japanese as well. It's
How
like,
is it? Pachi, pachi.
pachi, 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 pachi.
Is this a Japanese clap and this is a Western clap?
I think so.
Isn't that crazy?
Like when I clap,
even a clap is different.
全然違う. When you're gonna like clap towards like a concert or something, I'll usually be doing this. But when it's like, よろしくお願いしますとか, let's say somebody starts talking and they're like, it's still Japanese. I do it to blend in. Bengali, ne? I don't know. I'm just gonna, okay. Namaste, Amar Nam Priyanka Yoshikawa. Amar Baba Indian, Amar Mama Japanese. That's so bad Bengali, but I'm gonna keep it. I just said like my dad's Indian, my mom's Japanese, and my name.
Well, actually, yeah. So I was curious. When you won Miss World Japan in 2016, did you have like a big Indian following just come and be like, oh my God, we got to support Priyanka, because weren't you the first mixed race winner for Miss World?
Yes, I was actually.
Which is actually huge when you think about it. I know it was like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I always forget about it. You know, like certain things when it happens to you, you don't really feel like it's a huge deal, like it's a big deal, because it's just a part of you now. I've never really felt that way, but when I look at the facts, it's like, oh, that's a big thing, you know? Nobody really chose someone that was biracial for Miss World. But yeah, I did have a lot of supporters from India. The embassy tweeted. Yeah, and that was, I know. Like these things, like those things I never expected. I never expected, you know, all like Indian fans to be like, well, I mean, not Indian fans, but like I would gain fans from India and they'll be like, oh my God, you made India proud, you know? Like I never.
Gyakuni, like we made India proud, not Japan.
Yeah. Nobody Japan, because in Japan, I think in the culture, nobody really says proud. They don't use like proud to be Japanese or like, you know, you made us proud. That's not really,
yeah,
you know.
It's more like, I mean, well, I wouldn't say no one. I really feel like there's certain Japanese people who are like, they don't subscribe to that old traditional style of Japanese thinking, and they're thinking like, I want to be proud of myself, I want to love myself. But anyway, without deviating too much, let's hit some topics. You know, we said we want to talk about Love is Blind, dating in Japan. So Love is Blind, for people who don't know, it's a TV show on Netflix. There's the USA version, but Japan had their own version. And you were one of the contestants for Japan. Obviously, because of different cultures, these shows act differently. I know the US, they'll just make out as soon as they see each other for the first time. Japan was not like that.
It wasn't.
What was your experience like? Or did you learn anything about yourself on that show?
The main difference was like for the US version, you have to go to the altar at the end and then you have to say yes or no. You can't break off the engagement before the show usually. But for Japan, you can. So that's why a lot of couples, including me, sorry if you're gonna watch it from now and I'm just gonna spoil.
It's okay. So this is spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
But you were allowed to break up. That's what I did and a lot of couples did. And some of the couples, or a couple, I don't, didn't do it. She wanted to go Hafu.
NDA? Okay.
NDA.
Okay, we'll move. Why did Japan give the choice to call off the wedding?
Because なんかね、日本語で言うと悪女に見えちゃう。Because like even when you're watching a show, you kind of know, like viewers know that, okay, she or he's not really into the other, and then but why are they going to the altar anyway? But let's say I went to the altar, I mean to the wedding at the end, and I called it off on that day. It'll make me look very bad, right? And like the viewers will be like, why did you go? Like, why didn't you break up before? That's one. And another one is because of a lot of things happened with Terrace House, and our show was the second, the newest show after Terrace House on Netflix.
That was a reality show.
Yeah, and like a dating show, right? So they were really, I'm very sure they were really careful with, how they wanted to kind of showcase the show, but nothing is on, script. There's nothing like
there's no pressure for you to do anything.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I know Terrace House, I've talked to some of the guests and they said there's no script, but they formulated certain things to happen in a certain way to try to push people to do stuff, which is maybe what actually caused the whole issue with the girl who lost her life.
Yeah. I think it was influenced. They didn't really say it exactly, but very sure that they were very careful for sure because it's a risk, right? And then my personal experience of how I feel about the show after I watched it is that it could have gone a little bit wilder, like it's a reality show. Like it can't be just like smooth and be like, oh, you don't want to watch a show that people are just dating and there's no drama. Like it's a reality show. Come on.
Like, there's no tea.
There's no tea, right? So there were certain scenes that I wish that they showed and like
really? That they cut out.
Yeah, and like that's the tea. Like why? I'm like, why?
That's the good stuff.
That's the whole point of reality show. Like if you need to take a couple of, I'm not saying no one should lose their life, but besides that, it's just going on a reality show or any sort of media, it takes risk. Not everybody's gonna like you at the end of the day. So it's like, I felt those. But
why did you slap somebody or something? And you're like, put that in.
Yeah, put that in. Like cameras are everywhere, right? What I can say is that there were a lot of other conversations that happened in the pod dates. So for me, I was talking to a guy called Wataru, and he got married, and he has a very beautiful, adorable child. And then I got engaged to Mizuki, a different guy. So how they showed it on the show was I was talking to Wataru, and then me and Wataru didn't work out, and then I got engaged to Mizuki. But the scenes and the conversations that happened with me and Mizuki, and certain things that happened with me and Wataru, they were edited, right? I actually talked more with Mizuki before I got engaged on the show.
I remember I watched this and it was mostly just you and Wataru.
Right? Yeah. So, but it was actually I had more conversations. So after the show went on, people are like, it seemed like after I came out of the pod, I started asking Mizuki a lot of questions. Like they'd be like, okay, if Priyanka was that smart to kind of figure out that he was a fraud, why couldn't she know all of this in the pods? Certain things I didn't ask because I couldn't see his face. You need to look at his face.
The concept of the show is I couldn't see his face, but I got engaged.
Yeah, the concept of the show. But you can tell by the reaction of if he's actually being genuine or not. So I needed to ask certain questions I thought after I get engaged if I do. But besides all of that, I had, so all of that. So it happens with other couples as well. And then I believe there were more interesting, funny, awkward.
The awkward stuff. That's what made Terrace House so good. The awkward stuff.
That was all gone. Or a guy liked this one girl a lot, but she actually proposed, she said I'm ready or something like that. And then he proposed and then she turned it down. And then, but that's gone.
Oh, that's gone. That would have been so good.
You know what I mean? So it's she actually navigated, but it's not on the show. So this is so tea. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm not mentioning who it is. So but it's just the style of how they wanted to make the Japan version, and it was not a lot of chaos, which a lot of people appreciated from the US apparently.
Yeah, well, I think that's why people like Terrace House a lot, was because you could see less chaos. There was drama, but it was less chaotic and more oh, this is how Japanese people interact with each other. It's very passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Did you watch it, Terrace House?
Yeah, I did. I actually auditioned for Terrace House before.
I feel like every half Japanese person
Yeah, I know. I
auditioned
mean, they
for
always
it.
call you in.
You got called in? Actually?
They.
Oh, what?
And then,
Why didn't you get it?
I don't know.
It's just, they're like, we have too many halfies already. Like literally when that show was coming out, everyone was telling me or other half Japanese people, you got to be on Terrace House.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm trying. I'm trying.
You would have been good on it. But you know what? I think if I can defend a little bit of myself.
Sure, come on, do it. This is your chance to defend.
Well, I don't know how he's doing now because I'm not in contact. But he didn't have a home.
No home?
Yeah, he didn't have his own home. Like he was living in his business partner's parents' home or something. And it wasn't like even a business partner. This is on the show. Like he didn't own any like percentage of the company. He was just an employee. And he told me how much he was getting paid as a salary of being an employee, but he thinks of himself as a business owner, right? It's a reality show, but it's reality, right? So after the show ends, my life continues. And I'm like, I don't know if I can get engaged, you know, like I mean I can get married to someone that's because he's not understanding the difference of a business owner and an employee. This part is on the show, but he filed bankruptcy before, and he told me like, you know, the amount and the reasons. Those two didn't really add up to me. Like for me, it didn't make sense, but it was like my life and I had to decide if I needed to get married or not, you know.
Honestly, that seems very reasonable. Like
right?
your doubts are very reasonable.
でも, what I can add on, I was asked after the show released, because of me being biracial, like mixed, do you think you were taken differently, or would it that been like a negative point or something? You know, like certain things I was asked, and I never really thought about it, but when I look back, I didn't have those personal experiences, but I was the only like mix. There was one girl that was part Korean, but you know, that wasn't really shown. Like she was born and raised all throughout her life in Japan. I was the only one with the katakana name, and like again being brown, like different skin. If I was a viewer, I would have probably wanted to see more diversity in the show. That's what I would think.
I do think like diversity in Japan, at least in Tokyo now, a lot of konbini staff, tein-san, are some sort of like non-Japanese staff, right? But if you would see like a Family Mart ad or commercial, so far it's still like Japanese people. But I'm like, you know what? They could just throw in like some of these mixed like foreigners in there.
Absolutely. In Tokyo, you know, you go out and you're seeing like how slowly Japan is become much more diverse. But when you look at the ads, there's no diversity. Like remember,
it's either like very diverse where it's like just foreigners, or no, just Japanese. Very rare. I think I've seen a McDonald's ad that had like a staff that was like brown.
Okay.
I think
tried.
It was like a cartoon. It was an anime though.
Oh, but yeah, you know, like Itaewon class, and then they had the Roppongi class, right?
Yeah.
So on Itaewon class,
Itaewon class is a K-drama for anyone who doesn't know.
On Netflix. They had a Black Korean, but there was nobody played that role for Roppongi class. I liked Roppongi class, by the way, but just the point of view is like they literally cut out that character, but Japan actually has that part, like that Itaewon class. You know, I remember he wanted to like go into a club or something and he wasn't allowed, or like because he didn't look Korean, or they actually showed like the society issue or whatever you call it, like
discrimination.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't allowed to go in the club because they're like, you're Black, you're not Korean.
They actually showed it, and I think these media, like big medias, when they show it, it shouldn't be like making a bad reputation about the country, but they're pointing out what the country needs to work on. I
think Japan, if there's some more, once again, diversity in the way Japan does their shows, they actually, I feel like, might do better.
Yeah, that's what I feel too. It's not saying like, you know, it's gonna bring out the bad of Japan. I mean, it's the reality of it, and I wish they would show that a little bit more.
Do you have trouble getting a date in Japan? Well, you might be acting a little too thirsty, or you might just be weird. But if you are thirsty, what better way to quench your thirst than with the hydrating Itoen Oi Ocha, which is today's sponsor of this video. If you don't know about Oi Ocha, it's a tea that's sold all over Japan. Almost every konbini has one, and it's even being sold around the world. And now, most importantly, Itoen is really trying to grow their YouTube channel, and they've asked me to have people who watch this video go over to their YouTube channel. All you have to do is click subscribe. Oi Ocha uses premium Japanese tea leaves. It's also a very health conscious drink. It's only got 5 calories and it's got 100% of your daily dose of vitamin C. And they're also offering a great deal on their website, 10% off if you use my code MAXDCAPO10, and you can get 10% off any order. One last time, please just go to Itoen's YouTube channel, click subscribe. It's right there. Just click subscribe. The link is in the description. All you have to do is click subscribe. It'll be a big help. Don't forget to try Oi Ocha. It's very tasty. It'll quench your thirst, which is essential if you're going to go on a date in Japan. Taste Japan in every sip and enjoy an unsweetened, authentic Japanese flavor. Thank you again to Itoen for sponsoring this video. Just wanted to jump in topic. Somebody had a great question for you. Your experience on Miss World Japan, there's this stigma around beauty pageants where contestants are beauty but no brains. Has it happened somewhere in your professional life where people have maybe underestimated you for your skill or had prejudice because of your looks?
I have definitely been underestimated. I wouldn't say like it was only in the past. I think certain people still do of me now. Apparently for Miss World, they say that it's not just about beauty, but you need to have brains.
Oh, they do say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they say for Miss World. But yeah, sorry, going back to your question is like, I never went to college or anything. Like I just went to high school. I started off as entertainment, but I was being asked so much about being a mix in Japan or identity stuff. And like these questions that I was thrown every day as a 22-year-old, I think I was being able to answer quite well. So people were like, wow, like you can actually, so it kind of like played positively for me. So nobody really underestimated me or the way I acted maybe too. But after all, like, going into business and like starting my company, I was definitely like, taking advantage of where it's like, oh, you're like, how many sugar daddies do you have? Or like, how many like sponsors do you have? They didn't really believe, what I was actually doing. They're like, oh, you're just young. You just look beautiful. You have a title, So it wasn't like just because of Miss Japan, but it was because of how I looked or, they didn't believe what I can actually do or I can offer. And I still get that from like old guys.
Well, this is their way to try to hit on you, probably.
Maybe they're hitting on me.
Yeah.
Like
which is a weird way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
55 plus, like guys that are like over 55-ish, like I can see in their eyes of where it's like they're trying to offer, they're like they bring work, but they're interested in me as well. And that's something that I can feel. I think girls will get me like on this, like we know.
Yeah, girls never wouldn't know.
We know. You just reminded me for Miss World, it was oh god, oh my god, this is so funny. I had a boyfriend then. So during my reign in 2016, some of the girls knew that I was dating him and I thought I was friends, right? Like with them. But after I won, they started to say like, oh, she won because her boyfriend, is a sponsor or something. And I'm like, he has not even used a penny. And then afterwards, after when I started my skincare brand, I remember certain girls were like, oh, her ex is paying for her business. I'm like, why would my ex pay for my business? And even if he did, I mean, how sweet.
It'd be nice. It would be nice.
Right? And none of your business. Like, I mean, I was like, wow,
Have you heard the phrase, it's like, you'll never find a hater that's doing better than you?
Oh.
Yeah. So basically,
yeah,
no one who's actually at doing their best work, top of the game, would really ever have something to say about somebody who's also doing well.
Ouch. You can say that to yourself too, huh?
Wait, are you your best hater or something?
There's this one person that I don't like. No. I don't really hate a lot of, I don't have a lot of hate.
That actually brings me to another question I had. So what would you want to say to younger girls of this generation who are struggling with identity or perhaps beauty?
Like I've been asked this question quite a lot. Yeah. And I think everybody has different journeys and it's just how they deal with identity crisis or the reason is different. Like I how mine was is like when I first came back to Japan, I was the only Hafu in my class. I decided to want to stay into a Japanese school because I got bullied and I felt like I was running away. And at that point, because I moved to India, I moved to the States, and then in Japan as well. So I was already switching schools quite a lot before I turned 11. Um, so I was kind of scared to change, and then maybe something similar can happen to international. I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I want to change, you know, like even though this environment is not as comfortable and like, you know, I can't exactly be myself and I don't have friends, but I still want to put my, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's pretty low.
Yeah, but I was 11.
日本の公立
日本の公立の小学校行って。
小学校、中学校、高校、全部日本。
高校は、だけど最後、芸能活動できる高校に
そういうのはあるんだ。
そうそう。だから、
東京に
あるある。
Okay.
だけど、so all throughout middle school, I went to a Japanese school, and that's where I actually learned Japanese. So my personal experience was like, you know, going through bullying and then trying to figure out
what kind of bullying? Just if you could
it was like germs,
it.
like if, you know, if somebody like bumped into me, they'll wipe that part of their body and then like on, because it's like literally you're like COVID.
How wait, how old are you?
I was 11.
So you'd bump into another girl 11, they'd be like,
yeah. yep. And then you're like wipe it on. It's like a typical Japanese bullying style. It's like kinatsukai. This is so typical.
Can you explain what that is? What is like the typical Japanese bullying style?
まあ仲間外れね。仲間外れ、金扱い、無視。
無視が一番強い気がする。けど、what is the second one?
金扱い金扱いが、it's like 自分が金だから、so you're a germ. That's what I'm saying, like you're COVID. You're like a virus. Everything is very 陰湿なの。陰湿 under the carpet. Like it's not straight up. Even like how we communicate in Japan is gray. The language is not meant to be direct. Like Natsume Sosaki even said, the moon is beautiful. That means I love you. Like, no, the moon is beautiful. You have to tell me I'm beautiful too. You know, it's like, not the moon.
Say,
tell me.
Like, yeah, the moon is beautiful, but not as beautiful as you. Yeah, like, you know, but Japan
it's not. So that's how Japanese language is made. And everything is gray.
That's the bullying style too.
I think it's just...
That's almost where Terrace House was interesting for Western audiences too, because they could see the bullying or like, oh, this person doesn't like this person in a different way. Because it's very passive. Like just like one small facial feature and they're like, I was like, oh, she doesn't like that.
Yeah. One of the big things that I remember is when I first came back to Japan, you know, before like all the bullying and everything started, you know, I felt like, you know, the certain girls, like from my classmates, their attitude changed suddenly. And I was like, did I do something, you know? So
change suddenly, which way? Like
they were so nice and friendly. And then suddenly like, they're just kind of like fading away. Like they're not like... you know, so I remember I was like, I went up to them, I'm like, did I do anything, you know, like if I did something, can I apologize? And they're not used to communicating like that, you know, they're not used to somebody coming up and being like, what did I do to you? Like,
they're
you know,
sure. And it goes into everything in Japanese society after that, like work culture, it's not confrontation.
And then in middle school, I remember 交換日記ってあるのね. Like you exchange a notebook, and she was a good friend of mine, by the way. This is not a girl that did not like me or anything. We were friends. Again, her attitude didn't like completely change, but I felt like a gap, like I felt like a distance. So first I talked to her, and then but she didn't engage, so I decided to ask her through a notebook, and that's when she will open up. So she's not comfortable communicating directly, but if it's through almost like texting, it's fine. She was like, you know, you're always able to say your opinion, you know, you're はっきり喋るみたいな all of that, but I can't, and I felt pressured or blah blah blah, and I'm like, girl, but you literally asked me to say it on behalf of you, like, you know, because you can't say it. You could have just told me that, you know, it was like a simple thing. I think agreeing on disagreeing, I like that, but that doesn't really exist either. It's like if we have a different opinion, we're disagreeing, which means like we're not getting along. It's like it's gonna bring up conflict. So
people would rather just not know the opinions, and that's almost why English is more like you're supposed to have an opinion on everything almost.
Yeah.
Like at least think about what you believe.
You need to. Like actually you need to have an opinion. If you don't, you're gonna like not be, I don't know if you're not respected, but if you don't have an opinion, it's fine. But just say like you don't have an opinion, or
Yeah,
you're
even
like,
that's fine.
yeah.
You're like, I have no comment, no opinion.
But nobody says it. The harmony is like about Japan, right? Like not bringing up conflict or not. I think oversharing is not the answer to everything. It's not saying you should say all the time what you think and like being very aggressive.
That's the
and
other
you
side.
know,
That's the American side.
Yeah. So I think there's a balance, you know, and having a balance is good. But again, like just because you're not mentioning something, but you're holding it back and not being able to share that is something that I feel is not healthy, and it doesn't really create a bond or like a good relationship. That's what I feel through dating as well. You know, it's like the communication part is not exactly there or how I wish it to be when I'm dating someone Japanese. Though a lot of my exes are Japanese. Actually, I think all of my
All of them?
after 18.
Oh, after 18.
After 18.
Wow. All of
Yeah.
them are Japanese.
I know.
Like,
I know. It's
no
a mystery.
mixed?
One was actually a kikokushijo.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like born in Tokyo, but he was raised in New York, and then yeah, he went to international school, and yeah, if he's watching, he'll know who he is.
You're dating all Japanese guys, so I feel like you're just
I'm a pro.
You're playing on hard mode.
I know.
You're playing everything on hard mode.
And then like when I go out on dates that are like not with someone Japanese, like it's much easier. You go on like 1 or 2 dates and like, well, Americans are oversharing. It's like you know their whole life by the time you meet them for like an hour. You'll know
It's pretty fun though, right?
On an elevator, you'll know by the time you go on the 5th floor, you'll know his like all his lifestyle. This is so.
That is American.
Not with British people, but
yeah, no, they're closer to almost Japanese.
Yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah. だけど、まあなんか I'm still learning. Like Indians are again very energetic, very emotional. You know, we fight, we say stuff and all this, you know. Really? But so I think I have a balance of that, but I'm influenced by the States. But sorry, like I you know, I'll keep the answer very simple for the identity stuff, is that because everybody has different lives and different journeys and different experiences while they're facing, you know, who they are, or they're asking, you know, okay, what am I? Where do I fit in? It's not like a very easy answer, but accepting yourself is very important. That's what I feel. Like, don't, maybe because people are not let's say for me, not saying that it was the case, but you know, if I wasn't accepted because I was part Indian, that's them, you know. I don't need to not accept myself. I'm part Indian, I'm part Japanese, and wherever I was raised, or you know, I should just accept myself as being who I am. Try to find someone that you feel similar to. You can go on social media. Like when I was in middle school, there wasn't really social media. I couldn't find like even your content or someone that, you know, I felt like I was the only one that was struggling, you know, because I was a Hafu. But now you can find a lot of things. You can find information.
One question. Do you call yourself Hafu or mix more?
I try to use mix. One of the reasons why I try to use the word mix, when I use the word hafu, I highlight it. I say that if I'm going to use the word hafu or something, even in Japanese, it's because it's actually a very racist word. No, it means you're less than a human. So that's the origin of the word. Yeah, you need to be fully human to be, I don't know, Japanese or something. So like hafu is half, like literally you're half. You're not half red or blue, you're just, yeah, you know. So when but not a lot of people know the meaning of the word, so they're like, でもハーフで慣れてるからハーフでいいじゃんみたいな. Yeah, but I mean, once you know the meaning of it, like, do you want to call your hafu friend hafu? You're like, no. And also gaijin も使わない. I don't use gaijin. Yeah. Unless it's like gaijin media, or like the name of it, they named it gaijin. I use gaikokujin.
Other topics, since we're on the topic of being mixed race, are you hoping to have a family one day and have kids?
I do want a family of my own.
Where would you want to raise them? Between India, America, and Japan?
I've thought about this a lot. I definitely enjoy and I feel very safe about how safe Japan is, but the diversity part of it, or you know, the culture, I'm not exactly sure if I would want my child to be born is another thing, raised their whole entire life in Japan. I would want them to kind of see outside of Japan, have a more of a global, point of view, because the culture is so 偏ってるっていうのかな。
偏ってる。
やっぱ日本独特なんていうんだろう。
独特 like
it's not diverse.
Japan
Yeah,
is
I
very
mean,
Japan. Like
Yeah, Japan's very Japan. And I love Japan. I would want my child to have exposure to other culture. But India, I don't think I would want to raise my child in India.
Yeah, why,
because I don't
why
really
not?
see myself living in India.
Okay. I know you do go back.
I do go back. I
quite
have a home
often.
there. I have family. I love India as well. Like I feel always energetic. I feel like recharged. I feel very happy when I'm back in India. But a certain amount of time is enough for me. I wouldn't want to be based there. But I would want to take my child, back and forth and like
Between
India. Yeah, like, every year, like couple of weeks in India, spend time with aunties and like my dad and all of that. But for the States,
States. Like
it's just
the States.
I used
I
to.
love the States.
I love the States as well. I like New York. I actually considered moving to New York twice in life, but it's just I don't know, I feel it's a little dangerous.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, it's
the
a little
violence. Like.
But it might make them stronger.
gunshots. I went to like a grocery store with my friend's mom and my friend, and when we were in the parking lot, there was 2 cars, and there was like in a fight, and a guy put out his gun, and I was like, shit. So it's not like something,
No.
it's something that I actually saw as well.
It's so classic. Like
Yeah.
you never even have to think about this in Japan.
Yeah, you
You
don't.
would just walk down the street, 4 a.m.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
You can sleep on the street.
Yeah.
You'll still have everything with you. Shibuya meltdown.
Shibuya. Everyone knows the Shibuya meltdown.
Yeah. It's interesting. The States is interesting, and it's fun, and like I like it. あとなんか you can express a lot about what you feel. You can be like it's because everybody's so different. You don't need to be like wearing the same clothes like Japan. And also like for me, like I can wear like anything revealing or anything because and nobody says anything to me because I'm a hafu.
Oh, here. So we're talking about, okay, because you're Hafu, you can not get away, but
Yeah, I can get away with a lot of stuff.
but you've lived here longer than anywhere else in your life, right? Almost.
But
So
I
that's
use
funny.
my hafu card all the
The
time.
Hafu card.
Mhm.
There's the Gaijin card, the Hafu card.
Yeah.
Yes.
I use it. I take advantage of it
When's the
like,
last time you've used your Hafu card?
I don't know, pretty much every day.
Every day.
Not exactly every day.
Give us an example.
I use the part where I'm not fully Japanese or I speak multiple languages. I use that and I make Priyanka character. I'm forgiven because of that, I think, a lot of things. But you don't need to be a hafu to actually do that. It's just being your character, and it's how you display yourself, and you can kind of navigate a lot of things. That's a skill, I think, that you can build up. But like time, I can if I'm late on time, I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, IST, Indian Standard Time.
What if you're like early and you're like, shoot, I need to set the precedent that I'm usually running on my time. I'll just like wait a little bit so I'll be late.
I'm barely early. That's the thing.
Actually, that reminds me. I learned a new word today. Shinshitsu kibotsu. Have you heard this word? Somebody called me this today.
進出鬼没?
And it means you never know where somebody's going to just pop up, appearing in unexpected places and at unexpected moments. This word shinshitsu kibotsu is funny because friends have told me if I was a meme, I would be the meme of this guy whose like feet are pointed in both directions, and it says like never let them know your next move.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, this is the
This is
Japanese
it. This is
equivalent.
it.
You just pop up. Being mixed though, the Hafu card, it's not even like we want it or try to use it. It's just like almost
We're given.
like you're given it. And it's almost expected.
Yeah.
And a positive way I use it is if somebody calls me for work, I'll actually ask them like, "O genki desu ka?" Like I'll try to chat a little bit casually. It's nice though because a lot of clients, Japanese, like if you're talking to your client and you're Japanese, you have to be very respectful and careful of your word choices. But for me, they'll just say like, "Oh, hello," like hey, they'll try to use English with me. You know, I'm put in this position anyway, so I might as well have fun with it and like talk to them and
like
and
I can
say like, "Hey, how's your day going? How's your life? How are your kids?" You know, things that you wouldn't ask, the standard things that you, as an American, you might ask, like, "Oh, how have your kids been?" Or like, you'll say something to show that you remember about their life. But in Japan, you wouldn't really say a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, it's not saying like I always pull out the card.
We really should like print out a card.
A card, yeah.
Hafu card, gaijin card.
Like,
do you think when you were younger, in your early 20s, did you ever feel like you wanted to just be Japanese?
Yeah, when I first came back, I did. I wanted to be like Japanese. I didn't want to have a katakana name. I didn't want to look Indian, or I didn't want to look different, dark skin or anything. I just wished that I was just like completely Japanese. Like I was like, being fully Japanese is so cool. Like I was like, I want to be that.
Be fully Japanese.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, that was I remember like akogare datta. And then middle school, I remember like, and I never thought like a Japanese guy would like me. They might like me maybe like sexually, or like just they would be interested of all that, but not exactly like dating or being in a relationship. I thought that way. So I remember like all throughout middle school, even if I had like a crush or something, always like my intentions were not to be in a relationship, because it's like, well, they're Japanese. They're never going to be interested in the way that maybe I may be.
All right. So we're going to end the podcast soon, but I want to ask some fun questions. So, you know, a lot of people who listen to this podcast wanted to know where to go, what to do in Japan. Where are the best party places?
Best party places? Wakata. For fun, ne? What I like to do for fun is I'm like huge sumo fan.
Sumo?
Yep.
What?
やばいでしょ。
やばいよ。
Sumo fan.
It's like なんか好きな選手とかいるの。
Sticker.
You have a favorite sumo? Is this your favorite guy?
そう、飛び猿。
飛び猿. Oh, wait, okay, this is unexpected. So why is sumo? Why is sumo?
And my iPhone case is a bear, but I chose this because it looks like a sumo wrestler.
What the heck? This is your obsession right now, sumo?
Yeah, for like a year. I've gone for all of it this year. By
all
the way.
Of the it's like a social thing. Can you like drink beer? Is there like concession stands in the back? Or there are?
Yeah, so like not in the back, but like before you enter the hall, like there are like booths, and like if you go to Ryogoku, the Tokyo matches, then I love their ice cream, by the way. Yeah, and then you can get like your favorite wrestler goods, like, you know, towels, like pen, and like I have all of that, by the way. But
this is like your K-pop.
Yeah. This is like my K-pop. I'm never into like Johnny's or K-pop or anything, but sumo wrestlers, I'm using money.
You
and my time. I'm like, I bought a pen. I bought 2 towels. I literally go to all the matches.
Is there a word for this, like sumo joshi or something?
数女。
数女あるんだ。
あるだよ。
あるある。
相撲女子で数女。
数女。Is this tourist friendly?
Yeah, it is. You always feel, I mean, these days there's a lot of tourists, and I think they have these like guides and like tourist packages.
I did not expect you to be a sumo girl.
Yeah, I know. Nobody does.
Nobody does. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
ありがとうございます。
Bye.